One thing to do after a death that nobody tells you. It was November, and I was desperately looking through old family photos. It had been 10 months since my mom died, and I was missing her like crazy. I found countless perfectly posed photos, pictures of the dog, random sunsets, and birthday parties. Finally, I found the picture I was looking for. It was the dining room in my parents' house. The photo featured the large dining table fully set for our last family Christmas, before my mom would die unexpectedly just weeks later. What I loved most about the photo, ironically, was not the actual dining table. It was the way my mom hung a wreath on the window, or the mirror hanging on the wall that she had a faux finish to make it look like the paint was crackling. The photo captured how she hosted, all her personal touches, her showing her love for us that day. Take photographs. Go into your loved one's space and take a photo of the way the reading glasses are sitting on the side table, how the spice cabinet looks, or the jacket hanging on the hook. Photograph the wall of framed photos, the collection of ball caps or figurines. Capture the yard, the tools on the workbench, in the garage, the view from the kitchen table, even your favorite chair or the kitchen tile. I'll just add in here, this is something that I talk often about that you can also do for yourself if you are getting ready to declutter or get rid of things, is go through and take some photos of those things. Close up or far away where you get the whole feeling of your collections. And that way later when you declutter, you still have that feeling that you were going for by owning those things without having to own all of the things. All right, back to the book. My dad is more of a minimalist. In mourning, our mom took up most of his energy in that first part of the year. He had very little emotional attachment to the stuff that he and my mom shared. None of it connected him to her. He carried his memories in other ways. For me, however, I see my mom in all of it. I see her hands arranging the flowers into the vase on the table, her turquoise ring and sterling silver jewelry adorning her fingers and wrists remind me of seeing her peel vegetables before making her famous veggie pasta salad. These things, especially now that she's gone, trigger loving memories of her. They make me feel connected to my mom's energy and her spirit, her humanness. Here's the photo, the illustration on this page. I'll share some photos here. I love, not me sitting on the counter, but I love seeing the backsplash. Just little subtle details in life that make up a feeling of a home. Some of these are my home now that I added that are the same things that I loved about her home. So, in the time after someone passes, there is still a brief period when the way they had things is still in place. For me, having photos is something that I did accidentally. I wish I had done more and more and had photos of every room. I wish I could remember her lamp, what she was reading, the way her clothes looked all hanging together in her closet. That November, when I was looking through photos, my goal was to put together small albums for each of my siblings, filled with images of the house we had all lived in together. The photos brought reminders of the bold wallpapers, wall hangings, and the way the bamboo plant sat under the stained glass panel and the trio of kitchen windows. I knew each of us 5 kids would connect to different parts of each photo. So my advice is take pictures. Even better, Do not wait until people die to start taking photos. At your gatherings from now on, do not limit your photos to perfectly cropped smiling faces. Zoom out and capture the room also. The cars in the driveway can also serve as fun reminders of different eras of life. Take pictures of the decor, collections, the people in the stands at the sporting event, not only the athlete. Capture the things that have blended into the background, including the people who are not asking or expecting to be the center of attention. I'm curious if that brings up anything for you. For me, as I am getting rid of everything now and have recently scanned in all of my photos and digitized them, there were definitely gaps in things that I wished that were there. And then there was other things that I had so many of that really you wouldn't know from afar the difference between one year and the next of all of us perfectly smiling at the camera where you can't see any background or anything. And those are important too. But definitely the energy of the rooms. There's a humanness that every one of us bring into a space. It might not even be like the decor. Maybe it's at the family picnic and you just get people in their element when they're not posed and you can see how people are talking and who normally gathered with who at the picnic tables, or the gifts and how they're wrapped. Somebody might have a signature style, how they do that. The tree with the ornaments on the tree, having some photos of those in use. As we simplified our Christmas collection down to I think it's a 6 by 8 by 4 inch box. So it's like smaller than a notebook and just 4 inches thick. It's all of our Christmas stuff that we're keeping. And so I'm glad that I did take time to hang up a few of the ornaments that I knew we wouldn't be taking with us, but I wanted to remember, with the lights glowing on the tree, and take some photos of those. The stockings hanging. Some of that simply just having kids at home too and capturing that time of life. What the gifts looked like after Santa came and before they were opened. Just a few things like that. I'm also, since we're in transition and everything is, we have some clean parts of our house and then it's chaos as we're sorting and going through things and pricing things and fixing things. I am hesitant to ever show that part on film because it's a mess, right? And so I'm trying to get over myself and be a little better about filming that as well, or even just for my own sake, having some photos that do include that, even if it's just for me to see. So it's not simply the day we moved in, the perfect holiday photo, and then when the house goes for sale. Like, what about all that stuff in the middle and all the work we did and time we spent? How can we capture some of that? If you have any other ideas of if there's photos that you happen to have had, or maybe you did it intentionally after a parent passed or someone else in your life, maybe a spouse, that you have advice to share with others, I think that we can all learn from each other. After we got back in 2022, I hired a photographer to go and photograph my dad playing his guitar. And I'll share a few of these photos here. And it was so special. He was so proud. And he pulled out each of his guitars and wanted to have different photos with each one. Now, this is something I would have never even thought about or considered that he had. I didn't remember even had multiple guitars, kind of thing. And so it was really neat to not only see them and hear him talk about them, but to kind of ham it up for the photographer a little bit and let her really get to capture his himness, what makes him him, and his vulnerabilities in kind of sharing that part of himself to be photographed and seen. So then photos from that photo shoot out led me ultimately to also doing a big drawing of him, which is a whole other story that My dad has the kindest eyes and is just the sweetest man. And I wanted to see what would happen if I spent like 100 hours on a portrait and it was big, and what could I do if I allowed myself to dive full in without the rush of time. And so often when we work with clients, it's you have a limit. You have to kind of balance what you can do with a certain time limit. Anyways, my point is you just don't ever know where things lead. The photograph you take of your spice collection or the collectible dolls that you had sitting there, maybe your grandchild doesn't need the dolls, but just seeing the photograph of it might spark something that could ultimately inspire her or him without the stress of having to sort it and figure out what to do with it all. So I hope that was helpful. Again, Sacred Hellos. I'll put the link in the description. If you would like to purchase this book, you can. It's on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle, like a digital version. And also, if you're in a time of transition, I have a free PDF gift that I've created for anyone who is finding themselves needing to make a pivot in life. And I'll put more about that in the description as well. But it's free, and if you would like it and that tool could be helpful for you, I would love for you to be able to take advantage of that too. Sometimes it's not a big obvious change we need to make. Maybe we're not moving across the world. Maybe it's simply that I need to figure out how to stop giving all my energy to everyone around me and figure out how to pull some of that back in to make my own dreams happen. That's a very huge thing that sometimes we just assume we should know how to do. All right, thanks for watching. I'm so glad you're here. Bye.